So what is the difference? And by the way, you might have never considered this, or maybe you have. What is the difference between school and education? Because it does impact upskilling in the Great Resignation, let alone the other terms that I went through earlier. So what is the difference? I contend to you that there are quite a few differences. Now let me be clear. Let me frame it this way. School and education can be very identical or close to it, meaning that the two ovals or circles are pretty much on top of each other or close. But regrettably, that unfortunately doesn't happen nearly often enough. And this is not a suburban, urban, rural thing. This is not a rich, poor thing. This is not a East Coast, West Coast, Southwest thing. This is just simply put very common in the American landscape of workplaces, period. And that is the fact that there are some very significant differences. So, school. School tends to be time-based. Think about it. An average school day is X amount of hours. Kids get picked up, kids get dropped off, kids go to X amount of classes a day for X amount of days a year. If you miss a certain amount of days, then you make them up. Very time-based, okay? Also, school tends to be a physical construct. There's a building that you go to. Now, the building could be a private building. It could be a public building in the public commons. It could be faith-based. It could be secular. It could have some limited strings like a charter community school. It could be more of a micro school concept, which is a much smaller, more entrepreneurial model. Either way, it is physical. Next, paper is the determinant for success. So in other words, testing, exams, diplomas, credentials for people who want to work in said school, that is the highest priority for a school. Next, you're pushing in information rather than attempting to get it out. So the push is coming at you. It's more of an interruption to the average learning patterns of most human beings. Most human beings tend to be a little bit different than having things pushed into them, okay? But the school concept over the last century plus has come at people that way. Lastly, it tends to be a very rigid situation for most people. Not a whole lot of give and take in a school environment. And then lastly, information, knowledge, and even wisdom are siloed. So you don't often get, there are exceptions obviously, but you don't often tend to get the fact that yes, history and the arts connect. Yes, economics and business connect. Yes, English does apply to the workplace because you have to be a good communicator. So silos are a big deal in the school environment. But now when we start talking about education, education tends to be a lot more likely to be self-directed. You can learn on your own pace whenever you want in blocks or scraps or little slivers of time. Case in point, you don't have to raise your hand, but you could think about it, or you can even throw some in the chat. Have you listened to podcasts lately? Have you attended a webinar? Have you read or listened to a book? That is self-directed education. And you might have done it at 6 in the morning. You might have done it on Saturday at noon. You might have done it on Sunday evening at 8 o'clock. There is no set thing because it's self-directed. Also, it is a pull. Oftentimes this skill, these skills that education focuses on already exist because of your passions, your interests, your dreams. It's already in you. So education pulls things out of you that are already there, okay? The very best people who truly deeply understand education on multiple dimensions, understand that the stuff is already in the person versus having to push it in. It's also flexible and portable, which I sort of just hinted at earlier. It can be very flexible with the delivery method, and it can be taken with you wherever you go. Case in point, there are whole concepts called road schooling and world schooling. So if you're traveling around the world, you can be educating, even though the word school is in there. You can literally be educating yourself or your kids, your grandkids while you're traveling around. Same thing with road schooling. You can be traveling around locally as opposed to around the world. And as an adult 40 plus, a lot of you probably want to see the world, or you want to see other parts of the country outside of Virginia. Why not do it? Education allows you to do that much easier than school. Next is it's skill-centric. Competencies. Competency-based education is based on skills that are often soft, intangible, transferable skills. Oftentimes, these are not taught in a schooling environment because they're not easy to do an exam or a test on. And that is actually, in my reasoned view, a very good thing, because competencies actually are more portable, they're more self-directed, and they tend to draw out what's already in you. Also, instead of paper, the proof of your education is in the work product that you deliver. So you are delivering certain types of work to an employer, regardless of industry, regardless of all those other factors. So the proof is not in the paper that you present, the proof is in the work product that you deliver, the outcome, the result, the effectiveness of your work versus the paper that you might have. And then lastly, it is integrated. Integrated knowledge, interconnectedness, convergence, as opposed to silos. So if you've never considered that before, I thought that that was a good drop into this presentation, because upskilling is going to align much better, in my view, as a workplace strategist futurist, with education than it will with conventional school.